some point, you might realize you've gone quiet, not just with others, but with yourself. You've set aside your thoughts, your needs, and your instincts for so long, you even stop speaking or listening to yourself. And if that's where you are right now, you're not alone. Millions of women lose their voice, and many struggle to rediscover it. One of the reasons I'm doing this video show is to help me rediscover my voice. I have to be honest, I don't know if I've ever really had my true powerful voice. I've been tamped down, tamped down, tamped down, but I am doing it now, and this is helping me. So thank you for being here. Finding your voice again isn't about being louder. It's about coming back to the truth of who you are, your authentic self, and letting that truth speak clearly to yourself and to others. Welcome to Hearth Talks. I'm Diane Hatz, and this is a space for honest conversations about what it means to come home to yourself, especially during times of change. Today, we're talking about something that often gets overlooked, your voice. Not just what you say out loud, but how you show up in life. Studies show that women, especially during transitions like career shifts, grief, motherhood, or aging, are more likely to experience what psychologists call self-silencing. And honestly, I'd never heard this term until I started doing research for this video. Self-silencing is a psychological pattern where a person suppresses their own thoughts, needs, or emotions, often to avoid conflict, maintain relationships, or meet social expectations. It's not just about staying quiet in the moment. It's about consistently editing or withholding parts of yourself to fit in, keep the peace, or to feel acceptable. A study in the Psychology of Women Quarterly linked self-silencing to higher rates of depression, low self-esteem, and emotional disconnection. Another study from the Journal of Counseling Psychology found that reconnecting with your own voice improves resilience and life satisfaction. Your voice isn't just how you speak to others. It's how you live with yourself. It's your ability to recognize what you feel and to know what you need. It's also trusting in what you believe and acting in alignment with your beliefs. Your voice is your inner compass. It's the part of you that says yes or no before you can explain why. Some people might even call it their intuition. It's also the tone you take with yourself in your own mind, whether it's kind, harsh, honest, or quiet. And honestly, I have one harsh old crone inside of me, or I'm going to say I had. We're making friends. I am releasing her back to where she belongs, but I sometimes can catch myself just berating myself for no reason. And that alone is what can hold you back from getting what you want. Your voice is also how you make choices, and it's whether you're leading your life from your own truth or constantly adapting to others' expectations. I was a people pleaser, so I spent a lot of my life conforming to what other people wanted me to be. I mean, this is embarrassing to say. One day I might do a whole video about what happened with my career. It's so surreal. It's really unbelievable. But at one point, this white male authority who I brought in because I didn't want to manage the place actually looked me in the eye and said, "You don't deserve your salary. You need to take a pay cut." And I did it. I cut my salary $30,000 a year. Yeah. Yeah. That's how low my self-esteem was. And that's how little I knew how to stand up for myself. And that, friends, that is changing. That's change. I'm going to make a proclamation that changes now and that changes here. I will never undervalue myself or demean myself like that ever again, ever again. I don't care what happens. I don't care if I lose my home. If I stand in my own truth, I am home. And I really believe that. Anyway, there isn't one particular way that we lose our voice, and it doesn't happen all at once. Rather, it happens slowly and quietly. For example, you stay quiet to keep the peace, or you shrink to avoid judgment. I think for me, I was conditioned not to speak up. When you're brought up and you aren't allowed to express yourself, you learn. You just don't. I call it a diplomat. Um, I prefer that to people pleaser, but I'm the kind of person that's like, how can we work together? How can we solve this problem? I am not into fighting or yelling or arguing, which some people in power think that's an okay thing to do. And it's not. And trust me, I have had quite a few bosses. I attracted them. Again, another video one day. But you did it because, or I shouldn't say you did it. I did it because it was expected of me to be quiet. And sometimes it's what I needed to make it through the day. So over time, those small silences build. You stop expressing your needs and you start second guessing your instincts. Eventually, you don't even notice when your voice slips into the background. And look, I got to tell you, I'm a loudmouth. I have a really big mouth, yet was silenced for, I'd say, the first six decades of my life, but not anymore. It's really important to understand there's no blame and there's no shame. The fact that you were conditioned, most likely when you were a child, that's not your fault. Losing your voice, it's often a survival mechanism. Minimizing yourself probably help you survive at some point in your life, but eventually the silence that you created can be more damaging than what it's helped to protect you from. So the good news is that your voice never truly disappears. It might go quiet, but it never leaves. And if you go deep inside yourself, I guarantee you'll start hearing it again. So when you begin to start listening to yourself, and I mean really listening, your life starts to change in meaningful ways. And look, I used to be proud to tell other people, I'm a chameleon. I change colors to whatever anybody wants. I can do it automatically. And that's a good thing if you need it to keep yourself safe in certain situations, but that's not a good way to live because you don't know who you are. I mean, one day I'm like, there was some movie that I heard this in. I can't remember what it was. It's probably like a Julia Roberts movie or something, but it's like, what are my favorite eggs? I don't know. What's my favorite ice cream? I don't know. And I started small with stuff like that. Like, do I really want to go fishing? No. I believe fish are sentient beings. Like, why am I doing these things I don't want to do? So I think it's best start with something small, Do I want to go to that dance? Do I want to go to that dinner? Do I want to hang out with that person? It's okay to say no. But what happens is you stop making decisions around what other people expect of you, and you start asking the questions like, does this work for me? Does this feel honest? Does this reflect who I really am? And I will tell you that the people around you will not be happy because they're used to getting their way. And I'm still learning that delicate dance of standing up for myself, but doing it with love and compassion. Like, it's not about telling someone to F off. It's about putting your own oxygen mask on first. Because if you don't do that, you will die and you will be of no benefit to anyone. So a study published by the American Psychological Association found that people who practice authentic self-expression report greater well-being, stronger relationships, and a deeper sense of meaning in their lives. I will also add that when you start to do that, you will attract in similar types of people who are more independent, people who do things because they want to do things, not because they feel obligated. They're not going to back out, and if they do, it's just a different type of person will come into your life because maybe you're having a dinner and they don't show up last minute because whatever, they were crying all day, and like for me, if that happens, I've learned to have respect and compassion for where that person is rather than be angry and feel rejected. And that's many more videos to explain, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So finding your voice, it's not just about speaking your mind. It helps give you clarity around what you want and what really matters, and it helps you make decisions that align with your values and your energy. It gives you the courage and the permission to say yes to what lights you up and to say no to what drains you without feeling guilt or shame. And most importantly, it brings you back to yourself. And that is the whole point of what I'm doing with Hearth, is to help us all just come back to who we really are and to celebrate it within ourselves and within each other. When you first start to reclaim your voice, like I said, the people in your life are probably not going to be happy. They're used to getting their way and speaking their mind. And you know what? That's okay. You can learn to stand your ground, or you can find other people to bring into your life. And when I started doing this, it is true you will probably have to let some people go. It's a decision that's easier to make when you're stronger and you know more who you are. It's the benefit risk thing. If being with a certain person doesn't make you feel good, or if doing a certain activity, doesn't make you feel good, why are you doing it? And you will build the strength to be able to not, and to find something better. So you don't need to do anything complicated or to reinvent your whole life to reconnect with your voice. You can just start paying attention. So, for example, try to notice the moments when you pull back and you stay quiet, even in small ways. I mean, I've done it so many times in meetings with men. I felt expressing my opinion wasn't worth the hassle or the labels, like the B word, for speaking your mind and being authoritative. But if you continue to do that over time, it does have an effect. If you notice you're minimizing yourself in conversations or in meetings and it's not possible to speak up, think twice about keeping that friend or staying in that job. I know that can be a tough one, but your mental health and your inner health is the most important thing in the world. Honestly, if you are stressed out and you are anxious, odds are you're not going to do well at your job. It's just it's going to impact everything in your life. Your relationships will suffer, you'll suffer. So I know it can be scary to think, oh, I'm so unhappy in this job, but it's a paycheck, I need to stay. You don't. At least start looking for another job. And that act of looking sometimes can give you the strength and the power to be okay with where you are, and just if it's a relationship like a marriage, or if it's a job, you can just say to yourself, this is temporary, and try to learn through it, learn how to stand up stronger. Even if that standing up is walking out of the room, that's pure power. When you can graciously and gracefully just stand up and leave a conversation you're not comfortable with. So again, I know there's reality, but years of being made to feel small will take a toll on you and your health. If you can't speak up in the moment, find someone you can speak to about the situation. Therapists, but even besides that, find a women's group. I think we should all start a women's group called Things I Wanted to Say, where we can all get up and just say, I was in this meeting and let me see, I'm trying to think of one that happened. Um, I was in this meeting. This is the same person I've referenced before. And we're in front of the funder. So it's the three of us, him, me, and the funder. And I had just put on an event that everybody had raved about. And he looked at me, and she's sitting there. He goes, that was the worst effing thing I've ever been to. And I was just so shocked. And I silenced myself. And people told me he never paid attention. He was out in the hallway on his phone the whole time. What we do to ourselves. So if you leave a conversation feeling you weren't heard, take out your journal and write down what you wanted to say, or scream it into the room, scream it into the wind. If you're like me and you're out somewhere like New Mexico and there's a cliff nearby, I dare you to go scream it from a cliff. Like, get it out. And shaking, just shake it out, dance it out. Movement is one of the best ways to get stress out of your body. Be as angry and as bitchy as you want. It's not a bad thing. And you're not going to share this with anyone, so just get out your frustration and your anger. The worst thing you can do is to let that silence build to anger and then have that build inside you. That's where illness comes from. So if you let your silence build up inside you, like I said, it can eat away at your self-esteem, and it can eat away at your health, and it can really put you in a life you don't want to be in. most importantly, and I have found this so important, don't punish yourself. Please don't punish yourself. I have this part inside of me that can berate and yell at me more than anyone else ever could, especially when I don't say or do something I think I should have. I mean, this is another video. At some point, I hope to be able to interview somebody who's an expert in internal family systems to talk about parts and to talk about, but that voice is what's kept me back. No one else. Even, the boss, he wasn't a boss, the person above me who told me to take a pay cut, all that. He's not the problem. My challenge, the problem was my conditioning. Problem wasn't me. The problem was just my conditioning. And I realized it. And now I'm doing something about it. So if you feel silenced, don't beat yourself up for not doing anything. Your silence most likely saved you in past situations. So it's helped you. It's there for a reason. If you want to learn to use your voice more, you could try it in some small way in your next conversation. Just you could say you don't agree, or, speaking up is also being silent. Like if someone voices an opinion and you feel like they're trying to bait you, just don't say anything. Just go, uh-huh, and just walk away. Just go to the bathroom, pretend you have a phone call. There are ways you can excuse yourself politely. Um, and you can find a way to use your voice. Take singing lessons, join a choir. Just get up in front of a room and read something you've written. I mean, this is what women writers in the wild, which I've referenced in a few videos, but this is what it's about. I mean, gathering women in the desert so we can get in front of a mic and speak our truth, whatever that might be that day. It's powerful and it helps build confidence and strength. So again, I want to stress this. Using your voice, it's not about speaking. If you don't agree with something someone says, stay silent. There's also, if it's someone in your life consistently, there's a thing called gray rocking. You can listen, don't give anything, don't give emotion, don't give feedback, acknowledge, and then talk about the weather. Don't offer anything, any challenge you're having, any success you're having, stay away from that. Again, hopefully I can interview someone who understands narcissists and I can give you better tips on what to do with people like that. But silence is a powerful way to use your voice. We need to learn the difference between staying silent because it helps keep us safe and staying silent because we feel less than. We're made to feel less than. Women have to grapple with this all the time because whether or not we like it, we do live in a patriarchal society where men get more attention and feel more free to voice their opinions. Oh my God. I was at a coffee shop yesterday and the person I was meeting with left. So this gentleman sits down. He's older than me, and he was nice, filmmaker. We chatted a couple hours in the end, and I stayed that long because I was fascinated because it's been a long time since I've been around a blowhard. He's of that generation, and it was all about him. He was a filmmaker, and he's shopping a script, and he said things like, I don't understand. I called 10 people to go out and nobody got back to me. Huh. Maybe it's because I'm pitching movies all the time. Like, has self-awareness, but has the words, but no self-awareness. And then he said, I don't understand women. How can they get a dog and they go hike in the desert and they don't need a man? And I'm looking at him and I stayed silent, not worth it. But I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, well, they do that because of men like you. So using your voice is speaking up and not speaking up. It was, it was a great conversation and just reminded me that I've come a long way. So I know I've only touched on this subject, but when was the last time you felt heard or truly heard yourself? And not the version that you present to the world, but that messy, screaming, angry, dancing, beautiful person inside you. What does she have to say? What is she trying to get out of your mouth? What does she want out of life? Because that is you. So let me know in the comments. And please stay in touch by subscribing because your voice matters, especially here. Thanks for joining me today. Be well.